Yeah.
Yes.
All right, welcome everyone to our October Citizen Involvement Committee meeting. Is that where committee? Okay, make sure. We'll call our roll, and Barbara Rankin, our secretary, will do that for us.
My cousin in Portland, I think, was in touch. What was his name?
Okay, Mark Matheson.
Here.
Linda Basinger.
Here.
Dennis Anderson.
Here.
Amy Wilhite. Here. Joyce Gifford.
Here.
Faith Leith.
Here.
Rita Mills.
Here.
Stephen Haverbeck.
Here.
Barbara Rankin. Bill McConnell.
He's excused. Bill.
Gary Fergus.
Here.
And Brian Boyce. Did I leave anybody out? No?
Will you announce who was excused?
Excused are Tony Yu, Mike Mitchell, Jesse Buss, Harris Gwynn, Karen Morey, and I don't know about Bill McConnell.
Okay, I just meant the ones that we had heard.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We welcome Steve Van Haverbeek. He is one of the new representatives from Park Place. Welcome him back.
Welcome. Welcome.
All right, moving on. Our first presentation will be about naturescaping with native oak. If you want to come up to the podium and introduce yourselves. And also, if everyone in the audience is, make sure that you've signed in on the attendance in the back, that would be great. Yep.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you tonight. I have a 20-minute presentation I'm going to try to squeeze into 10 minutes, so I'm going to go pretty fast.
I'll be watching the clock.
My name is Ted Labby, and I'm a biologist, and I work with a 27-member partnership that's represented by the conservation districts, by local parks districts like North Clackamas Park and Recreation Districts, Metro, various NGOs, and others. And I'm going to tell you about a project tonight that we are working on to try to foster greater stewardship of Oregon white oak in the North Clackamas urban communities. That includes Oregon City, but also includes communities like Oak Grove and Milwaukee, West Lynn, Lake Oswego. And I'll just dive right in while we're waiting for the presentation. We are wrapping up a 2-year effort right now to do a regional inventory of this resource of Oregon white oak. I'm going to tell you about the significance of that in a sec. But over the last couple of years, we've had over 100 volunteers out across the region, all the way from Hillsborough on the west, all the way to the Gorge in Clark County, Washington, all the way south to Wilsonville, building an inventory of this habitat, which is very important for native species of plants and animals. And we have a number of native oak-dependent species that are imperiled, in trouble. And so the various partners have been really focused on just building a basic inventory of where this habitat is across the region. And we're kind of in the last stages of wrapping that up right now. We should have this map ready kind of by the end of the year. What I'm here to talk about tonight is sort of the next step, which is really the stewardship piece, how we engage with private landowners. Great. Thank you so much, Laura. There we go.
There we are.
So how we care for this resource, it's in our backyards. So I mentioned the partnership, over 27 partner members now. Our local partner here is the Clackamas Soil and Water Conservation District. We would not be doing this without funding from that partner. The photos on the right are all the volunteers that we've had out over the past 2 years building this inventory that I mentioned. There's other parts of the project that I'm not going to talk about tonight because we're short on time. I'm going to dive right into the stewardship. Why do we care about oak? There is a fraction of what's left historically. We know from work that's been done in the Willamette Valley, we have only about 14% of our oak woodlands left. We have even less of our native prairie that has oak as a important species component to it. A little bit about the ecology. Prairie, savanna, oak, there's a continuum of habitats, and there are species that occur within subsets of that and some that occur across them. In general, the higher frequency, historically areas that had higher frequency fires had more savanna or more prairie. Those that burned less frequently had more oak woodland. And over the course of history, with the exclusion of fire, we've seen the development of forests where prairie has been replaced by oak woodland has been replaced by Douglas fir, overtopping it, and it's that alteration of the ecosystem that we're attempting to address. 90% of this habitat exists on private lands in the region, so it's absolutely imperative that we address, we meet folks where they are in their backyards, and that's why we're doing this the way we are. The biodiversity I mentioned is off the charts. These are a lot of the native plants and animals you find here you won't find in old-growth Douglas fir forest, so it's important that we focus on this habitat in particular. Again, I'm going to fly through this stuff because I want to get to what we're trying to do. There's an important cultural context. These habitats wouldn't exist were it not for active management and stewardship of the resource 150 years ago and before that by indigenous peoples. And so in the course of these workshops we're going to be telling you about, there's going to be a teaching around the cultural component. And I'm not going to get into that tonight. The solutions we're focused on are working with land managers. That includes private homeowners in their backyards in urban areas. And then also we're working with natural resource stewards on public lands. And I'm not going to talk about that tonight. This is the project area that we're working in North Clackamas. So it includes Milwaukee in the north, Oregon City in the south, and the communities all in between that on both sides of the Willamette. So what we're trying to reach with these workshops is we're trying to train up just 45 landowners in 3 workshop series, and we want to find landowners that will implement these practices, these naturescaping with oak, in a way that will demonstrate to the community that this works and it's attractive and it's something that more people want to have in their backyard. So we're really trying to train the leaders, really, the next generation leaders. The schedule for these, right now we're doing outreach. This is part of that outreach. We're trying to reach members of the community like yourselves that may know homeowners that have oak that might be interested in this. I'm really open to the possibility of going to your individual neighborhood associations if you have that interest and making this presentation. This winter we'll be selecting 45 homeowners, and then next spring and fall we'll be conducting the workshops to sort of train up these leaders in how you do this and what it looks like. This is a little bit more detail on the 3 workshops. They'll include 1 class workshop and 2 hands-on. And so we'll actually be doing, 2 of the workshops will actually be in somebody's backyard doing an installation with Mark Wilson, who's at the back of the room here, who's going to be leading the workshops. If you want any more questions about any of the details of this, I'll be here the rest of the meeting and afterwards if you want to learn more. I'd also mention that we're not just solely focused on private homeowners. We're open to the idea of parks managers, and I understand that Public Works Department has some wonderful oak behind their facility here, just a few blocks away. We're open to that possibility. So this is a little demonstration. Mark is going to be developing planting plans for individual yards to kind of demonstrate what you can do with actual species mix and maintenance regimes and how you go about maintaining these and what they look like, so give participants really a visual of what they're getting into. We're actually using the inventory information I mentioned that I'm showing in the bottom right corner of the screen here to pinpoint neighborhoods where we think that are particularly oak rich that we want to do really sort of targeted outreach to. And Oregon City has quite a bit of oak rich habitat, so that's why I'm here tonight. Some of the benefits of this are, it's not just about habitat protection, habitat conservation. There are many other attendant benefits. These are beautiful landscapes. You have things blooming in August and in July and June with no water. Okay, so they're drought hardy landscapes, and there's a whole context of learning around this landscape when we start to welcome it back into our backyards. And that goes with it a whole bunch of co-benefits that go with that. I'm skipping over some of the details because I want to get to the end to maybe have time for questions and dialogue with you. Basically, what I'm here tonight is just to get the word out. I'm giving you a short URL there, as short as I could make it, on how to sign up, express your interests. I'm also here tonight to give you kind of like the 10,000-foot view of like what to do if you've got oak, you don't have time to participate in the workshops. The bottom line is to think about how you can plant associated species. Leave the leaves. Don't try to tidy up things too much. Don't over prune your oaks. Anything like lawns, irrigation, fertilizer is kind of rough on our native oaks, and they do much better without any irrigation. And the last and probably most important from your perspective tonight is to just know that this is going on. If you have somebody in your neighborhood that's interested, to let them know about this and let them know that the oaks here are a really important public resource that we're trying to kind of get the word out on. So these are some of the partners in this effort, and I mentioned Mark Griswold Wilson, who is here tonight. We're here to kind of talk with you individually if you have any questions. I've skipped over a lot of important detail that I would have labored over if there was more time. And here are some links if you want more information. Mark has done a lot of similar work with the West Multnomah Soil Water Conservation District, and there's some other programs that are going on, like the Backyard Habitat Program, which is happening close by. And of course, your neighborhood, your county soil water conservation district has resources too, and they're just right up the road from you here. All right, I think I'll wrap it up there. Do we
I
have any time
apologize,
for-
but I didn't catch your name.
Sorry, my name is Ted Labby. It's L as in log, A, B as in boy, B as in boy, and an E.
Great.
Yeah.
Is there a way, Laura, can we get this emailed out to all the members here? Okay,
what I was
that'd be
gonna
great. That'd be great. Do we have questions?
I was just going to make sure that we were going to get sent a copy of this. Thank you.
Yeah.
And again, I'd like to emphasize, I would be very willing to come to your individual neighborhood association meetings if that's something. We're trying to, between now and the end of the year is really our big push for getting the word out. So,
I have a question.
Barbara?
Have you thought about contacting the developers that are building new lots up?
yeah, we have actually, I've talked to a couple developers individually, but we haven't actually thought about doing outreach to them, but that's a really good suggestion. Yeah, like the Home Builders Association. I hadn't thought about that, but that's a good idea. Is that what you were thinking?
I'm thinking there are several neighborhoods where new developments are going in, and they're pretty level. So it would be a good idea to, if you're going to put something in,
Right.
you fellow in the back.
Well, and that's where you folks that have the local
Wanna come up?
contacts, it would be very helpful to.
I'm Mark Wilson. We're actually looking for homeowners with existing landscapes with oak on them.
Okay.
New development, invite us back next year. We'll see what we can do to fix up the ground scraping. So I think we're very interested in contacting landowners who have the resource or who would like to plant an oak on their property. So I think that's kind of our, and then on good relations with their neighbors to have them help out. We're trying to jumpstart actually these little stewardship units working in, as Ted referred to them, oak-rich neighborhoods, so that they can serve in the future as a group of folks that could help out with the similar project on another site.
Okay. John?
Thanks.
So I will speak up. No, sorry. I will speak up because I am the Public Works Director, and we do have an operations center just about 7 blocks down the street. The upper yard is part of our operations center, and it does have several oaks on it. I don't know if you've been to the site yet.
Yeah, actually, Pete was telling me about it, and I drove by the other day and was intrigued. So I was glad to see you here tonight.
So I'm intrigued by the naturescaping, and we've got plans for improvements that are in the process of being kind of replanned, and naturescaping in those areas, and be a great place for that neighborhood demonstration or whatever it is that you want to talk about. So
Maybe we can follow up with
my card is out there. I can grab it for you after the meeting, or I'm not going to stay for the whole meeting, but I'll catch you before I leave.
Great.
Okay.
Great. Were there other comments or questions? Rita, you're over there.
I wonder, what you said about developers, I think it would be important to observe some of the large parcels of land that may be for sale, that if there are oak trees on them, we don't need to fight like there was in Portland, but I think it's important if a developer goes in and buys a location that if we want to preserve oak trees, we would want to preserve those.
Yeah, and part of it is, let me just jump in. Part of it is the group that we're trying to reach with the first set of workshops are going to be there, and they're going to be attached to the property kind of for the foreseeable future and be able to like watch it and maintain it and talk to their neighbors about it. And the challenge with developers who might just be there temporarily is that we don't necessarily have a person there. It's all about the person, plant, place connection, if you know what I'm talking about. Now, it's possible we could have that with a developer, but it's not in every situation that we could. So, but I think the point was that we could consider some of the outreaching to developer groups to sort of get the word out. It's possible that could happen. It's just...
Well, and we can all be on the lookout, too.
That would be great.
That's what we'd most appreciate. If you have friends and neighbors that have oak in their property and don't quite know what to do with it, that's a perfect setup for offering the assistance that we're coming with.
Yeah.
Thank you for the idea.
Steve?
So while we don't have an oak on our property, directly behind us, there is a undevelopable piece of property with too high a grade with a beautiful oak on it. And is there anything that can be done with that?
Could we talk after
Yeah.
and find out a little more about that property? Thank you.
It's on Oak Tree Terrace.
Okay.
Should be a
Oh, that
like the
sounds
name.
great.
Yeah.
I like the name.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
very
for the
much for the
opportunity to
time.
come. Yeah.
And the clipboard is working its way around, I think, right? There it is. Thanks very much.
All right, for anyone in the audience right now, our next agenda item is public comments for items not on the agenda. So if anyone has anything that they would like to say, there are comment forms in the back that need to be filled out. And we have one here from Spencer Lambling from Clackamas Fire District 1. Is that you? All right, come on up.
Well, thank you very much for allowing me to just speak with your group here. I know it's kind of an odd shape here, but from Clackamas Fire, right here at your local fire station, right here, Station 15. I just wanted to give you kind of a quick update of what we're doing here. In October is our official National Fire Prevention Month. And
Do you want to take one of those microphones?
Do I actually need one?
Yeah.
Oh.
So it gets you on demand on our website.
Sometimes.
There you go.
Okay, so October is National Fire Prevention Month, and the theme this month is Hear the Beep Where You Sleep, and that's the reason why I have this smoke detector here in my hand. So I just wanted to kind of go over just a few items here, just talking about having smoke detectors inside each of your bedrooms, having one at each floor of your house. Make sure you're checking those every month, once a month. You gotta give that thing a beep on the ceiling, and make sure you're changing your smoke detectors every 10 years. And then I also want to tell you guys that we are here, Clackamas Fire is holding some open houses, and we are having an open house Saturday, October 17th at Station 17, which is our South End Fire Station. So if you guys want to come by and see one of our fire stations, see our crews there, you can stop by there. And that is from 1 to 3 p.m. Thank you.
Great.
It should also be noted that any of the fire stations are open anytime we want to stop by.
That was any fire station's open. That's great. We've had some neighbors who have come to some of the fire stations looking for the File of Life. We've been promoting those in some of our neighborhood associations, and they've run into not having any. So if that's, I don't know who that's over.
If they leave contact information, we can get resupplied and make sure that they get a hold of
Okay.
them. So, yeah, it is possible that a station would be out of them at any given time. But if they give some contact information, we'll
Okay, I will let them know. Great, thank you. All right. We will move to John Lewis, Public Works Update.
Thank you, Amy. So I just have a couple of things I wanted to go over. I don't have any slides to share with you today, but I just wanted to mention our pavement maintenance utility projects are winding down. We're still out there with the contractor trying to hurry that work along before it rains. It's been, I would say, a tough year for us with some of the work that's been going on. We've been on 9th Street for quite a while, so if you're in the McLaughlin neighborhood, Brian, I think he's got a first-hand look of the work on 9th Street. It's getting better, though. The paving, I think, is finished up on 9th Street today. Malala Avenue is essentially done. There's some manhole work to do, but most of that work's moved forward. We are, just because of the weather concerns, we're going to cut the Trillium Park work. At least we think we are. We've been talking to the contractor about cutting that roadway off, or not cutting it off, but eliminating that work from the contract for this year and coming back to it next year. But anyway, that's good. Washington, it drives much better than it did just a few weeks ago, as does the section of Malala. And then 9th Street should be quite a different street by the time we're done with it. The sanitary sewer moratorium projects, that contract has been let, and the contractor's about to start digging tomorrow. So look for that work just along. It's not going to start at Division Street. It's going to start down on 11th or start on 12th and 13th. So be ready for that. Again, if you live in the McLaughlin neighborhood, you'll see lots of activity there. And I think their plan is to move up the hill. So we'll be sending out more information on that as that project progresses. One project that you might, just about everybody uses in town, is Beaver Creek and 213. So most of you know there's a very long landscape median that comes really from 213 and comes up the hill towards Oregon City. And lots of times that thing's full. And when it gets full, it prevents traffic from moving down the hill towards the through intersection. So we've just hired a consultant to help us get some survey work done and figure out how far we can extend those turn lanes. And that'll mean elimination of some of the landscape median, but it will accommodate a lot more traffic and hopefully help somewhat with that intersection. Flower baskets, even though they're still looking pretty nice, the contract is done, so this week most of those are supposed to come down. So get ready for the fall season without the flower baskets. And then in the South End neighborhood, Boynton Reservoir, we've done some landscape work along there. There's some new fencing just to keep folks out of there before they used to be able to walk through that site. And we had some, what I understand, some homeless camp in there, and also had some neighbors that were just kind of dumping yard debris. So we've since cleared that up. We've added some fencing to it, and we'll continue to make sure that looks real nice. You may have seen the Cove has got a problem with blue-green algae. We've not seen that happen in Oregon City since I've been here, that I recall. And so it's kind of a new thing. I think it's there's the City of Portland seeing it along the Willamette River. So just the warmer water temperatures and slow-moving currents are the right conditions for blue-green algae. So we've tested for that. We posted it, and until we see more winter weather, more rainy weather, fall weather, let's say, maybe not winter weather, but fall weather, it will continue to be posted as health advisory. So keep your dogs, and I don't think you got cats that like to swim in there, but keep your dogs out of there, keep your kids out of there. It's just not a good place to come in contact with. You can still walk around it and look at it. It still looks good. And let's see. The other thing I wanted to mention was we have had kind of a run of illegal fill sites where people have added too much fill on their property. And a lot of those have been in areas that we would preferably not see fill, even though it's not public property, it's their own property. But they've either built walls and filled behind them, or just exceeded. You know, if you see a neighbor or a project that looks like it's exceeding a couple of feet of fill, it'd be a good thing to notify the city. Lots of times we don't get to always see those things. Sometimes they're in places that are hard to see. Especially those that are in those steep slope areas where we've got geologic hazard concerns that we might want to look at. reporting those things is a good thing, because oftentimes people don't think about the impacts they might have on a roadway or on your utility lines or a neighbor's house. So we've had a couple recently that have been significant. The other thing is property owners often spend a lot of time and money building these things that they see as not problematic. And once they find out the reasons why we might have concerns about that, they usually feel kind of bad about it and wish they had done things a little differently. So it'd be nice to get in front of those as opposed to on the backside of those after they've spent all that time and money trying to do a project that they just see as an improvement to their property. So just spread the word on that, because we've got a couple right now that we're dealing with that are probably going to result in stop work orders, and we'll have to kind of continue to work with the property owners to resolve that. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it.
All right, does anybody have questions for John? Well, looks like we're good. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Chris, we invite you up now to give us an update on the police department.
Thank you for having me. I'm Chris Wadsworth, Oregon City Police Department Community Outreach and Crime Prevention. I started out with only having a couple things to bring up, but my list grew as I talked to the chief. Just to let everybody know that the police department's putting on an internet safety presentation for parents, and that is going to be held on Tuesday, October 13th. 2 sessions, 4:15 p.m. and 6 p.m., and also Thursday, October 15th at 5 p.m. These will be held out at the Oregon City High School on Beaver Creek Road. It'll be held at the same time that the school conferences are going to be held, in hopes that parents will be able to come and listen to these presentations at the same time that they're there for their school conferences. But it is also open to the public. So we welcome all citizens, grandparents, parents, come and listen. Good information presented by the detective unit and the school resource officer out at the high school. So again, October 13th and 15th.
Chris, did you post that, sorry, on Nextdoor?
I did,
Okay.
but I will do it again.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, thanks.
Friday, October 30th, the police department will be participating in Trick or Treat on Main Street. We'll be in Liberty Plaza next to the courthouse. We will have the fallen officer memorial sign for Officer Lipke. We will show that off down there, excuse me, before it's placed. And the place that his wife has chosen is on Highway 26 on the way to the beach, close to a turnoff where Rob went hunting. So that's where the sign will be placed, but we will be showing it down at Trick or Treat on Main Street. Citizen Academy is going on at the police department right now, and it is going excellent. And I'm just thrilled. Chief Band started it off 2 weeks ago, and I thought, oh my, how are we going to top this? Well, Sergeant Lynch topped it last week. It was just, so everybody's just, there's a very high bar set for this academy, and it's going great. Chief's Advisory, Chief Band will continue to update the neighborhood associations, just everything that's going on at the police department. Neighborhood Watch, we currently have 12 neighborhoods actively signed up and participating in that program. I would like more, so I would like to solicit your help. So if you would like to start one in your neighborhood, please give me a call. I have forms in the back along with my business cards. So I am really trying to get some more neighborhoods activated this year. So we've had, I think it was 8 activated last year, and so far 4 this year. So there's still time left. So I'd like to get that going a little further. Christmas 911 project that the police department puts on. Our detective unit and police officers submit names to the community outreach office, children that they have dealt with over the past year. And then our wonderful citizens adopt these children, and we wrap all the Christmas gifts, and then the officers and the detectives get to deliver them to the children prior to the holiday. And every year it just grows and grows and grows. So I've already had citizens call and give me their names. This is, okay, we're ready, as soon as you have a kid for us. So if anybody's interested in participating in the Christmas 911, please give me a call. And just one last thing from the chief, in light of the event in Roseburg last week, he just wants to remind our citizens that our police department trains regularly on active shooter. So just know that you are safe. And we train with the fire department as well in active shooter scenarios. Sergeant Pascal and I actually, I think it was the weeks go so fast. I think it was last week, we were actually at the library and discussed active shooter with them. And we've done a couple presentations up at 221 Molalla, one for the Department of Human Services and one other building there. So just know that, you know, we are doing everything we can to keep our community safe. Are there any questions?
Commissioner Shaw?
Yeah, Chris, while you're here, maybe we could open this up to the General Assembly here, but has anybody noticed graffiti in their neighborhoods here? Steve? Okay.
You have graffiti?
On the Park Place neighborhood sign at Holcomb and Redland.
Okay.
It looks like we were tagged.
Okay. Anytime you see graffiti, if you want to, you know, cover it up, before it's covered up, if you would please take photos and email them to me.
Okay.
We have a notebook where we log all the graffiti, and then if we arrest anyone for graffiti, we're able to go back and see similarities in that and possibly attach those to that as well. So anytime that there's that, just please take a picture and send it my way, and then we'll make sure it gets taken care of.
Brian and Linda, did you?
Yeah, I wanted to mention, speaking of Park Place neighborhood associated signs, the one at Forsyth and Park River Drive is laying on the ground.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Oh,
I mean,
Chris?
choice.
Does the GO request for the City of Oregon City, if we took graffiti signs and sent them there, do those get forwarded to you?
Yes.
So that's an easy way to do it? Okay. I have an app for that. Everybody else should too.
I've used that
I
app.
brought that up, Chris, because I had a citizen get a hold of me and said that he'd seen it all in one day up on top on 213 on a utility box of some kind up there, and also on the Arch Bridge.
I saw that.
Okay, so
As well
just
the other day.
and so I'm glad you're on top of that. I didn't know if we had to attend the chief's advisory, or so you're doing that. Okay,
No,
good.
please
Thanks.
just give me a call
All right.
or email.
Thank you. Any other questions for Chris? All right, thank you for coming.
So my cards are back there, so if anybody needs to get a hold of me,
Okay.
please feel free. Thank you.
Great. Our next presentation, Pete, we invite you up to talk about the Beaver Creek Road Concept Plan.
Thank you, Chair Wilhite, and good evening. My name is Peter Walter, Associate Planner with the Planning Division. Tonight, I'm going to present to you an overview of the Beaver Creek Road Concept Plan, the readoption process, and I just wanted to get a show of hands. How many of you remember this plan from 2007? Okay, 2. That's good. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of what has happened since then, once I get started. So the plan area that we're talking about is on the east side of Beaver Creek Road. It extends, and I'll show you a map. It extends from Thayer Road down to Old Acres Lane, which is just north of Henry C. Road. And it's approximately 450 acres, all told. It includes areas that were brought into the urban growth boundary fairly recently, as well as areas that were in the original urban growth boundary from 1970. The concept plan was developed with strong community input between 2007 and 2008, and the City Commission adopted it in September of 2008. It was appealed to the Land Use Board of Appeals, or LUBA, who remanded the plan back to the city and Metro to resolve employment land or industrial land acreages on the map. Metro subsequently adopted a revised industrial land map in December 2010, and then the readoption was further delayed due to various legal objections to the larger Metro urban growth boundary. So that was the Metro Urban Growth Boundary Capacity Ordinance and the urban reserves issues, and that delayed things further until those issues were finally settled by the state legislature, which resolved the urban growth boundary issue in 2014. So in September 2014, the final appeal issues were dismissed, and the city is free to proceed with the readoption of the Beaver Creek Road Concept Plan on remand. That's a brief overview of the legal stuff. I'm not going to go into further detail on that. So what is the basic approach this time around? The final concept plan, which was before the commission, will not be revised. That means to say that the vision, the goals, and the policies, the land use areas, and the general transportation system will all remain as they were drafted in that time. However, the recently adopted public facilities plans and cost estimates for this area will be addressed in the city's revised findings, and that includes the Transportation System Plan of 2013, the Sewer Master Plan 2014, the Water Master Plan, and our Stormwater Design Standards, all of which took this area into account when they were updated. What were the goals and what are the goals of the Beaver Creek Road Concept Plan? These are discussed in detail in the document, and that will be that is available on our website, which I'll share with you. The goal is to develop a complete and sustainable community, to be a model of sustainable design, to create green jobs and sustainable industries, to preserve natural beauty, to foster multimodal transportation. That means vehicle capacity on Beaver Creek Road, as well as good pedestrian and bicycle connections throughout the planning area as it develops. There are intended to be good connections with Oregon City High School and Clackamas Community College. That doesn't mean actual just physical connections, but programmatic and job-creating type connections with the businesses that eventually are sited in the employment lands area. And it is a unique sense of place, and they want to preserve that in the plan. And a big part of the plan is to preserve the ecological health of the area, which includes Trimble Creek and the tree groves that you see there. And so I'll talk about that briefly. A concept plan legally must address all these things, which I'm showing here: natural resources, parks, open space, in this case employment land, which is Metro Title IV, housing, schools, amenities, transportation, all modes of transportation, zoning, infrastructure, and financing. The specific remand adoption items The ones that are shown here in italic orange, this is the narrower scope of this readoption. The record that will be opening for the purposes of readoption will be primarily looking at making sure that the Metro Title IV employment land map is reflected on our map when we adopt it, that we are addressing the transportation system with the updated 2013 Transportation System Plan. We're going to be talking about our public facilities plans and police and fire services as well as schools. And we will be adopting comprehensive plan designations and a zoning map and code. Going back to 2007, I wanted to talk briefly about the community engagement process that was done. There was a citizen advisory committee, pretty diverse group of people. They met 12 times, and there was also a technical advisory committee. Lots of meetings. There was a site visit, 2 open houses. There was several meetings with Metro, 1 meeting to discuss the employment lands, a community design workshop, market focus groups, a sustainability focus group, and all of that was done via publications on the website, posters, signs, mailers, and things like that. The process went on for about 1.5 years before going to public hearings. So 4 planning commission hearings and 10 city commission hearings. So this is the concept plan area. You'll see to the north, let's see, Thayer Road, Beaver Creek Road, Old Acres Lane. This is Glen Oak Road. Sorry. Yep. Claremont joins here. And the idea is that the northern employment campus area, which is the large blue area, that is approximately 150 acres gross. Then you have the mixed-use area, which is mostly yellow. It includes a mix of housing types. The mixed employment village also includes some housing, and I'll talk a little bit about those. The idea is that the access to Beaver Creek Road is restricted to preserve vehicle capacity, and that there's also a connection eventually that joins a secondary collector road on the east side of Beaver Creek Road. Then you have various feeder roads collecting through this neighborhood. The green areas are environmentally sensitive areas, tree groves and open space areas. And you'll also see those are the bright green areas. The lighter green areas are power line or utility corridor easements, which also present an opportunity for trails as well as open areas and parking in some cases to serve buildings. This is not a zoning map. This is a concept map. So it will guide big picture decision making when the time comes to look at annexation applications that are put forward to the city. It would guide future zoning of the area and that sort of thing. And it will be dependent on property owners' desires to annex to the city. This would not be initiated by the city. Our goal here is to adopt a concept plan and use it as a guide for future land use decision making. Just a breakdown of some of the acreages in the areas that you just saw on the map. The North Employment Campus has a net developable area of approximately 127 acres. And then you have a combination of Mixed Employment Village at 21 acres, the Main Street area, which is the little red area here, little round dot, and the 2 mixed-use neighborhoods combined for a total of 235 net acres. Parks, open space and natural areas, and right-of-ways combined about 113 plus 56 acres there. These acres are preliminary. Total area, as I said, was about a 453 acre area under different ownerships. The impact of the full build-out of this area, we don't know when that might be, but it's estimated to provide approximately 5,073 jobs. Most of those would be in the North Employment Campus. A significant number would be in the Mixed Employment Village, and the housing units is estimated to be about 1,000 units. This is based on a hybrid plan that was the preferred plan alternative that was adopted. How is the plan implemented? As I said, we have to do some work. We have to adopt a comprehensive plan map that is applied when a property is annexed, and then we also need to develop some code amendments, zoning map for the area, zoning code, and development standards, and we also need to look at financing. How will the public infrastructure be paid for? Will it be done through a combination of system development charge updates, developer financing, and that sort of thing, or some other mechanism? All of the financing methods are discussed in the plan, but the concept plan just creates the first shot at that. We'll need to be looking at that in a lot more detail as we move forward. So what happens after readoption? More refined public facilities planning by the Public Works Department, some code amendments. We'll be looking at transportation mobility standards. As John mentioned earlier, the 213, 205 interchange, those kinds of improvements are significant and contribute to the better working of the intersections there. But transportation mobility also means making interchanges and roads safer for bicycles and pedestrians and transit. So those are the focus of alternative mobility standards, and we have to do that working with ODOT as we move forward. Looking at updating system development charges, and then once that's done, applications for annexation, applications for zoning, development review, construction, all come later. In terms of meetings that are coming up, we did have a meeting, work session with the Planning Commission on the 28th. From here on out, you'll see we have dates with each of the committees, Natural Resources Committee, Transportation Advisory Committee. I'll be meeting with the Caulfield Neighborhood Association, since they're the primary neighborhood association affected and surrounding the plan area, and the hamlet of Beaver Creek. We'll be having a City Commission work session on November 10th, and the first Planning Commission hearing is scheduled for November 23rd. The first City Commission hearing will be December 2nd, and we expect that there will be more hearings after these. Those are just the initial ones that have to be provided notice on the public notice. So we'll be sending out public notices in the next couple of weeks to advertise those two hearing dates and give people information about the plan. We're focusing on the corridor within 300 feet of all affected interchanges and Holly Lane area and all of that. So we're hitting a pretty big target with our mailing of notices. And if you'd like to stay involved, this is our website. It's, when you go to our land use notices, we've created a website from there. So it's one of those. That's my contact information. And thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
All right, questions for Pete? I think you just overwhelmed us.
I know. That was my intent. Please don't be overwhelmed. If you do have any questions, give me a call. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, Laura, get us pumped up and let's talk about some goals.
All right.
I think we need to stand up and do some
Exercise.
something.
Well, deep breath. Okay. So once the computer starts working again,
Oh, we need to put those screens back.
apologize for the technical difficulties this hearing. So we've been working on creating some goals for our committee. I've printed all our goals, and they're in a pile of paper in the back if you don't have your copy in front of you. So we've seen these goals a few times now, and we've asked you to kind of look them over and give me your input. to be frank, I haven't received a whole lot of input from the group, but everything that I have received has landed in these goals. We would like to create goals so we can see where we want to go and start to create our work plans from these goals. We create the goals within a 2-year time frame, so we're sort of following this budget cycle as well. So after 2017, we'll create goals again. And we tried to create goals that get us where we want to be and are achievable. So city staff initially took a draft of the goals. You'll see that they're much different than they were the first time you saw them, and then they've sort of been tweaked along the way. And we're here to finish them up and hopefully get adoption of the goals tonight. Are there any questions on the goals or anything you'd like to see added to the goals? We broke them out into 4 general sections. One is to work on a public involvement plan so we can really figure out how we're going to move forward and engage the community, and then also get more involvement and tell people what is going on around the city as well. Increase knowledge, and then work on maintaining strong neighborhood associations. So goal number 3, create packets of information so someone could pick up Tower Vista and just start going, or resources that you guys could all have that would be useful for you. And then goal number 4 is to provide an information back the other way. So from people coming and speaking before the CIC, make sure that we track those comments and make sure that those comments get to the appropriate person. Is there anything that seems to be missing or you would like to work on in a bit more detail? One person at a time.
This is just the general, and then we're going to fine tune it, or like,
This is
or
it.
what? Because we had talked about, as part of goal 1, representing the CIC at public events. Since our last meeting, we've had 2 public events. We had the neighborhood night out, and we had the safety fair. And I want to thank Faith and Linda and Rita and Gary. We're all at the National Night Out. Did I miss anybody? And then at the safety fair, Faith and I and Laura and Gary and Joyce briefly were there. It was great, but we needed more help. So we had talked about, as representatives, it's more than just a Monday night meeting once a month. We need to be willing to get out there and help push the neighborhood associations. And so Laura and I talked about maybe that would be a requirement that you, as agreeing to be on the Citizen Involvement Committee, that one of the things that you would agree to, not only to come to these meetings, would be to go to at least one public event annually. So at least just one during the year. And then also to go, we didn't talk about a number, at least once, but maybe more often, to go to another neighborhoods meeting, because we represent the neighborhoods that we come from, but it's good to get a picture, because once we come here into the CIC, we're representing the whole city, and it's great to find out what the other neighborhoods are like, because they're a lot different. And so those were some of the things we talked about adding.
So I have a Word version of this, and I could type on in whatever you would like me to.
What do you guys think, what do you guys think of that?
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Okay.
All right, so how many times
Is
a
that
year?
on goal 1 or 2?
There's 2 different ones. Goal 1 would be that at the public event, it would be asking each representative to at least once a year, and then in goal 2, it would be each neighborhood.
So you're typing it in goal 2, and she's saying that
It's both.
it belongs
There's
to
both.
one.
Well, sorry.
Goal 2 is each neighborhood, each CIC representative would attend.
I was skipping the neighborhood association one. So you want to do
Public events,
one
attend
in
at
addition
least
to this?
once a year?
Yeah.
Yeah,
each
just stick it in there.
CIC.
You participate in some public
Would
events.
yeah, would
Yeah, participate.
not just show up and wave at us.
Yeah.
I'm good at that.
And then attend another neighborhood meeting once a year.
Right.
Yeah, that's really enlightening. I went to you guys'. I went to yours, the Kenema one once.
Okay.
Go to a different one. Yeah, that was.
So then each
enlightening.
CIC representative again.
Oh, you want to?
What do you think?
Would do what?
Once a year, twice a year?
A minimum of.
To attend another
I
neighborhood
think
association.
that first one should have added to it as a CIC representative. I mean, we all attend events.
Well, would participate as a
We want them
CIC
to
rep. Yeah,
participate, though. We want you to actually be in the booth and help.
yeah.
So it's.
Get in the dunk tank.
It's not just.
Yes, something more than just
Be there, yeah.
being there and participating. It's got to be.
Volunteer.
Oh, I like neighboring neighborhood association instead of other. No, I don't. You
But
don't need to do
sometimes it's
that.
good, you know, for me up in Gaffney to go to Park Place. It's clear across town, and it's just it's a great input so that you can get a feel for.
I went to Kenema once, and it was very enlightening.
Yeah, I've been there too. I think I've been to all but McLaughlin and Two Rivers now.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'd like to. Let's go to McLaughlin.
Okay,
Try
that
to
a
eventually
minimum
go to all
of one, and then you have another of right after the one.
Yeah.
And then up above, would participate at a minimum of one public event per year. as
Why
a
do we have
citizen.
one?
How about volunteer?
111.
Yeah, we have a 111.
Yeah, change participate to volunteer, maybe?
We're getting to write a book now. Would volunteer to participate.
Dennis?
Is it primary or the alternate?
Both.
Both.
Both, yeah. It's actually fun to do. Well, you were with the ones last
You
year.
still have
Yeah, I went to
1-1.
last year.
Under goal 2,
A
the
minimum
last one you
of
put in there, you go
1-1.
1-1-1. One.
Want to be certain.
Yeah.
And then under one, volunteer at, it just doesn't make sense. Would volunteer at minimum of, would volunteer at a minimum. A minimum.
Change at to just a.
Or no, volunteer
At
at
a.
a.
At a minimum, okay.
Right.
All right.
Would volunteer.
Barbara, didn't you have, when we were talking about
I don't know,
land
that
use, you had a
doesn't mean
comment that we might add into here?
Yeah. Am I on? Yeah. Am I on?
Yes.
I was thinking that it would be a good idea, since the CIC is involved in planning with the land use, that we should all be aware of developments throughout the city, not just in our neighborhood. You know, we get notified if there's going to be something proposed in the Park Place neighborhood, but we don't know unless we search the site, the City Planning Commission. We don't know if there's going to be a development in McLaughlin or Gaffney.
That is a wonderful comment, and one that we were kind of mulling about earlier this year. So we actually added, whenever last time we talked about the types of applications, the 1, 2, 3, 4, so if there's some discretion. Most things are like go out for public comment. Almost all development does. So every time we go out for public comment, we now added every chair of every neighborhood association to every email. There just hasn't been a lot that's been happening since then. So I love your comment, and we've implemented that maybe about 6 months ago, but there really hasn't been a lot going on.
Oh, okay.
So you probably haven't noticed much difference.
But not everybody that's a representative is a chair.
That's true.
So maybe we need to add.
Well, no, you just have to ask the chair of your neighborhood to forward the things to you.
And then we also have on our website a place where you can sign up for an RSS feed, which is a bit a fancy name for an email, to get on that same. So there's a separate place where you can add yourself and take yourself off that list, because we control who we send it to in our list, and then every time we post it to the website's smart and automatically emails a group of people who sign up to be on the list. So I can send you out a link. It's an RSS feed for land use notices. And you can also sign up for an RSS feed to get every time City Commission posts a meeting and that kind of thing as well. So there's a lot of things
get
that
all
we
those
can
already.
automatically have on our website that'll
get
go
all
into your
those.
inbox.
I signed up for something.
I'll send
somewhere.
that to you after this meeting. But I like our list because it seems achievable and it seems to meet our goals, City Commission goals, and I think we can get quite a lot done.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So anybody have any other?
I move we adopt this list as amended.
A second.
All right. Let's see. Rita?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Joyce?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Faith?
Yes.
Mark?
Yep.
Dennis?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And Chair Wilhite?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. All right, so we'll start to work on a work plan, and you'll see that in some upcoming agendas.
Yes. Save.
All right.
Just the minutes.
This is the minutes. We updated the list of attendees, and I put hard copies of the updated minutes with the new attendees.
Brian's
in the
listed
back.
on there twice at the end.
And I think they had Steve Anderson on
Yeah,
that
they
list.
fixed the Steve Anderson.
Okay. I just email her when I see it.
There we go.
That's on this list?
Yeah, it was on that list of attendees.
Yeah,
I know he wasn't
Yeah,
here.
the ones that were printed and set in the back had been fixed for.
And
But the one that was
then
emailed out.
I passed some comments that got forwarded, written down, and I passed them over to Barbara as well at the beginning of this meeting.
Okay. Did anybody else have any changes or, okay? So if you agree that this is, did we say we'd do, just raise our hands? Or we were just?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All in favor of these minutes as presented? Hand? All right.
All right.
Unanimous. Well, I think we caught up to our timeline.
Yeah.
We did it? Oh. We had 30 minutes adjusted for the work session thing, and we only took 10. So, phew. Yeah, I think we did.
Thank you.
All right, Neighborhood Association Roundtable. We will start with Brian. Yeah.
Okay, they will be having a meeting.
Is that microphone on? I can't hear you.
Oh, is it?
On?
There we go.
Sort of.
Talk loud.
We'll be having a meeting in 2 or 3 weeks here, and we have a couple of different speakers that are going to be there. We're still developing the thing.
Could you remind me when that is? I would like to come to that.
I'm going to have to look it up.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it's in the 20-somethings on a Wednesday, like the third Wednesday, where that comes up. And another item of interest for at least some of you out there is that there's going to be a Democratic presidential debate watching party at 505 Tavern that I've organized. So if you're interested in such things, that's where there's at BernieSanders.com. There's a site to sign up to say you're coming. You don't have to, but anyway, it's ongoing. Okay.
Okay.
I just want to clarify, it's October 21st.
21st. That sounds, I was going to say 22nd. So
What
it's
time?
close. 7 at River Shore,
Upstairs in the
downstairs.
downstairs?
Yeah, there's a big room down there.
Oh, okay. All right. Linda?
We had 31 members sign in at our September meeting.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Tell them why.
We are working on our bylaws. On our final reading of the bylaws, I hope. We had 21 people to support the bylaws that, as written. And we're having a special meeting in October to go over perhaps an addendum for anything that we missed or anything to follow through. So that's how we're working on it, the bylaws. But I thought it was pretty good to get 21 people voted to support them as they were written and come through there.
That's wonderful. You guys have worked really hard down there.
Well, we've had some people really work on that committee, making them readable and workable. And it has been an uphill battle, but I think we're getting there.
Just to add to that, Kanema has been a melodrama of sorts. It's very tiring and quite frustrating to a lot of the citizens there, and some of you are aware of that. And the effort to do this construction of a draft for bylaws was actually started here at this group, the CIC, and then later echoed in a grievance committee. And so the effort taken on by volunteers within our neighborhood, 5 or 6 worked a year, sharing at each of the sessions to the community what was going on, soliciting help or other kinds of suggestions to be implemented. They worked very hard over this year and were outrageously condemned for doing it in a sort of a cabal fashion, which is totally outrageous, and that there was a lack of communication. And I just echo this because I think it's needed to air the other side of a story that seems to be so often told and really paints the picture of Kanema as, if not laughable, just sort of like contentious. And it's unfortunate that we have factions that, seem to run about the neighborhood like a dog with a saucepan tied to their tail, and they try to create a scenario of and usually it's directed at the Bay Singers, which I'm really offended by, and I think Linda's been commendable as our chair. But to claim, and I just have to let you know, there's so many things that I could try to draw from and to bring to your attention that would be totally outrageous and borders on threatening calls and so on. But to claim that the Bay Singers are greedy and unethical is just beyond the pale of understanding. And we have this unreasonableness within our neighborhood, and I think it's long since been, well, it's been a year and a half plus. Now, the good side of this, not to dwell on the dull part, is that we have this issue with the bylaws, a document that, although the faction says that there's something in the city right now, this was never ratified. This was never brought to the membership. It was a paper without purpose. And by the suggestion of the CIC, this group of volunteers set about the task to complete it and make it whole, considering all factions within our neighborhood, a diverse neighborhood, both historic and non-historic. And to call people out, put labels on people, is to dismiss them without explanation, and doesn't really bring to light the real issue of the people who called for an election 2 Aprils ago, lost their position, and they want to regain that kind of control. It's unfortunate that they think more of themselves than they do the neighborhood. And, I sit here for now a year and a half, and I just find it a bad situation to sit in, where I know lies and accusations and discrediting of people who give a lot of their time with a great deal of effort to be put in that position. The pattern behavior is just outrageous, and it should be condemned. And so the good side is we have a draft. It was voted on. We have a second reading on the 22nd. So any additional kinds of commentary or amendments can be added. We have the hope, although since it's usually meetings that start with a little bit of dysfunction and a little bit of disorder, that we could pull together a draft that seems to be evident to the greater whole of our neighborhood, a good document for the bylaws. This would be our hope. I'm crossing my fingers. Now, the other side, the backside in the melodrama, is that all this comes down to November, where we have yet another election.
So,
Oh, no.
so for those who want to stay tuned, it'll be more entertaining as we go forward.
If you'd like to attend November meeting.
Yes,
November meeting.
I would
So we-
love to see as many of us there as possible.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to make it light. I think it's serious.
It
I
is
think
serious.
there's people committed to the neighborhood, believe in the neighborhood, in its diversity, and share common goals. And I don't think we need to single people out or label them or discriminate against them. And I think that's where it's getting to, and I don't think that's a good way to go. It's certainly not a positive contribution to a neighborhood, and I don't wish this on any other neighborhood. And certainly there's been other neighborhoods that have had similar kinds of dysfunction, and they work through it. Ours seems to be, we have individuals in our neighborhood who seem to like hold on rather than to move on. And that's unfortunate, but I hope going forward we can address that too. At least I'm sometimes considered an optimist, and I hope will be the case. But
When is your meeting in November?
when's the election?
I think it's the 19th.
The third week.
It's the third week.
Third week in November.
Will remind us at our next CIC meeting.
Okay, so,
Yeah,
thank you.
Just, Dennis, I wanted to let you know specifically, I've received many comments. Your neighborhood's unique in how small it is, and I think that adds to the situation, but I've had many of your neighbors comment to me how nice it is to have you go door to door, talking to the people. They recognize the positive and upbeat manner that you're trying to move forward, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
I've kind of been away from the neighborhood. I've been doing on the wildfires for the last 60 days. So as far as I know, we're doing okay. I'll check back with everybody. We're having a meeting. So other than that, I have nothing much to report. Apologies.
That is life. Faith?
Yes, our neighborhood is supposed to meet tomorrow night, and we haven't gotten our cards yet.
We are
In the
so
mail.
disappointed.
In the
that
mail, they
we-
didn't come yet.
Yeah, and we're.
It's tomorrow night.
It's a joint meeting with Tower Vista, who's
Yeah.
unrepresented, and we have a really awesome group of people coming. We're going to be getting an update from
Community College.
the community college on their building projects, and we're
And the
getting an
high school.
update from the school district on their master plan at the Beaver Creek campus. So we're hoping people know about this, get the word out. You guys can come to this meeting too, and you can see these awesome speakers that you could possibly invite to your own neighborhood meetings. The school district really wants to get out to all the neighborhoods and do a presentation. There's new roads that need to be built. There's lots of things that are going to be happening, and of course, that's along Beaver Creek Road, which has to do with the Beaver Creek concept plan. It's right across the street from that concept plan area. So please come to our meeting, and if you know anybody that lives in Tower Vista, and we're hoping that we can even get the Tower Vista email list that the people that used to go to their meetings, I know Todd Last might have had that list, hopefully forwarded that on to somebody. We can at least send them an email. Our meeting is tomorrow night, 7 p.m. at Living Hope Church at the corner of Myers Road and Gaffney Lane.
Do you know
Can
when
we-
the postcard information was submitted to Katie?
3 weeks ago or something?
Yeah,
It was at
it
least
was
2 or 3
it was
weeks
3 or
ago.
4 weeks ago.
All right.
I'll follow up.
Can
with
you
Katie.
please,
This is
'cause
the
we've
first
had
I've
that-
heard.
Yeah,
I'm hearing that more and
because
more
if we get it tomorrow,
It's
it's kind of useless.
One other time, the postcard came the day after the meeting.
Yeah.
And, you know, that
And it makes
wasn't-
it look like we're incompetent, and we're really sending it in early. So we need to find out
I'd
why
like
they're
to
not
find out
mailing it
if
on
you would let
time.
me know what happened there.
We'll send you
If
an
the
update.
printer is the one that's responsible for mailing it, well, that printer needs to know these are time sensitive, and they've got to go at a certain time, or we're wasting our money.
But when we had the problem, it was with the
Right,
post
we're
office. The
wasting
printer
money.
had delivered in plenty of time.
Really?
So I would like, that's why I'd like to
Maybe we
know,
can
because that
meet
happened
with
at our last.
Postmaster or something.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
I apologize. I'll follow up
Yeah.
and let you know what happened.
okay.
Yeah, especially since we used both Tower Vista and Hillendale's.
Yeah, we mailed
on
to
names.
two. It's a double mailing.
So we tag teamed you on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
Faith, anything else you want to share?
No, that
Okay.
was it.
I just want to thank Faith very much for all the work she did this summer at the events. I know CIC has not been meeting, and you two have really been awesome.
It's fun.
It's great talking to the people. You point to the map and you ask them, do you know, I walk up to the first people and I say, do you know where you live? And, they look at me like I'm crazy. And then I said, do you know what neighborhood you live in? And they go, oh, no. And I go, well, point out where you live and I'll tell you what neighborhood you live in. And they're always interested. I don't know if they'll come to a meeting, but we really we're planting seeds so that at some point when they get upset with something in their neighborhood, they'll show up at our meeting. I know.
Get the angry ones.
Okay, Steve?
Well, we've got a Park Place meeting coming up on October 19th at Park Place School at 7 p.m. We've got some work to do now because we've got the sign fell down. Looked to be during the windstorm sometime back in August. So we've got to replace that. Got to figure out how much it's going to cost us, but otherwise.
And the graffiti?
I'm going to go take a picture of that tomorrow. It's not a big patch, but yeah, we need to.
You'd be surprised what the kids notice.
Yeah.
We were out driving, and my daughter said, "Oh, they're taking care of. They were cleaning up some graffiti." I'd not noticed it. She's like, "Yeah, she could tell me how long it had been there." I mean, it's kind of amazing that they pay closer attention.
And that's it.
All right, Joyce.
Hillendale has had some awesome things going on this summer, especially at Hillendale Park. We have the old tennis courts have been pretty much converted to pickleball courts. If you don't know anything about pickleball, check it out. I think through the Parks and Rec, we can have some links to what the Pickleballer Association is doing. Pickleball. It's a little round plastic ball that you hit with a paddle back and forth. It's tennis for geezers. For those of us who don't run very fast anymore, I've just gone and had a little bit of fun with them. But there are some people that are really serious about it, and I guess in Oregon City we have a member here who has won some national championships at pickleball. These people travel all over the United States playing pickleball. And they didn't have a place. They were having to travel to Tualatin to play. And they said, hey, is there a park here in Oregon City? And we looked around and we found some unused tennis courts and said yes. And they paid to have them restriped, and they're having a great time. They have a lockbox out there. They have a porta potty out there, and they have a key that they'll unlock those things at certain times. And so the movies in the park were a big success that we had at Wesley Lynn Park. Again, that's in Hillendale neighborhood. And we are looking forward to new dog parks coming online.
All right. Gary?
New dog park.
We had, at our last meeting in August, we had our hot dog thing at the park. Turned out quite well. We had Lois. No, what's his name? Joe.
Oh, from the.
Anyway, Bob LaSalle came and talked to us about traffic, and John Williams talked to us about some other items of interest. And we actually did our road cleanup again. We did it on Saturday, and I did pick up those rubber mats. And they were just rubber mats. They were just rubber. They weren't any car mats or anything. They were just big hunks of rubber. Had some roof flashing up there. We found only 2 vodka bottles this time. So maybe the word's getting out and the person's quitting. I don't know. We found a raccoon and a possum. The rubber mats. And the interesting thing I thought was, why would people throw out these little picks for your teeth with the little floss on them? There's several of those along the road, so who knows?
On their way to work in the morning, they floss their teeth and throw them out
Throw
the
it
window.
out the window. Okay. We actually found a sign down over the side of the road that says curve, and I think it actually belongs at the top end of South End Road, but there's a big arrow there now. So now Beverly put that curved sign now. So down at the bottom, leaning against it, is a curved sign, and then up above, we got the arrow, so that's taken care of. Yeah, we should do that. And our next meeting is going to be on October 15th.
Do you know if postcards have been sent out?
Bill said that he had turned in all the information last week, so.
Well, that's short notice.
Supposed to be 3 weeks.
That's kind of short.
So there's okay.
All right.
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Gaffney Lane our next meeting is on Thursday, the 22nd. We have our elections also. I can't imagine, I mean, it's going to be so opposite yours. I'm really sorry. I'm hoping somebody will step up. There'll be no fighting. They'll be just cheering. If you would check with your, at your neighborhood meetings and make sure that somebody from your neighborhood is going to the Chiefs Advisory meetings, that would be great. There weren't a lot at this last meeting. One of the things that they handed out, at the Chiefs Advisory meeting, there's not only a member of the fire department and the police department. Chief Band is usually always there, and the PIO from fire is usually there. So you get great information, and it's one-on-one information, things you're not going to hear other places. That's great to find out. You could talk to. There's people there representing the school district. There's people there representing the churches. So there's a lot of good housing project. Someone is there from there. That announced that at Oregon City High School there will be a Veterans Assembly Tuesday, November 10th. So I have a couple flyers here. It's a time they honor veterans, and it's been a really great thing the past couple of years that they do. So they really wanted us to get the word out. It's from 8:30 a.m. to 10:15 a.m. at the high school. That's the day before Veterans Day. So they do a hospitality room, coffee, treats, conversation, and then they have a full-on assembly in the gym. Pass that on. I wanted to thank Public Works. One of the things that traffic is always a big deal at our Gaffney Lane Neighborhood Association meetings, and especially the intersection of Glen Oak and 213 has been a big concern. And they have worked with ODOT and got a designated right-hand turn light if you're coming off of Glen Oak onto 213, so that you can turn right. Because what was happening was, when people coming south on 213 were turning left onto Glen Oak, people weren't turning off of Glen Oak because the visibility is a little sketchy there, and they were just nervous, and so you lost a lot of time, and traffic just backed up from the school like crazy. So they've added a turn signal there, and so it has been a lot better. So thank them for listening and getting that done, and we look forward to our next meeting. Barbara?
Park Place neighborhood had a meeting. I'm not sure if it was August or September.
We didn't have one in September,
So it was August.
just the August meeting.
Okay, and we actually met at the Pioneer Pizza, because we couldn't get into the school. School's closed in August. So we met there, and we were presented by a plan to develop a single lot off of Holcomb, which is zone commercial, and it will be developed into 16 or 18 apartments. So it's going to be presented to the Planning Commission, I believe. We really need high density in that area, because we have two housing, thank you, two housing groups there, county. Yeah. And so, and one of them is in really bad shape. It's ready to be built, yeah. So this will be a good opportunity in that area. Other than that, we'll be meeting, as Steve said, October 19th at the Academy of Alliance, or whatever, Alliance Academy, which is the old Park Place School.
Rita?
I enjoyed helping at National Night Out. It's a really fun thing, and Faith asking people where they lived was a real fun thing, and I don't know if anybody came to meetings after that, but it was fun to see people from all over town, people you knew and people you didn't know. I wanted to say how beautiful Ninth Street looks. The Public Works Department has done well. And also, about 3 Saturdays ago, I had company and the girl said, "There's a big hole where your water meter is." And the whole thing just collapsed with concrete around it. And I live across from the football stadium. And so I called the non-emergency city number, and she said, "I'll contact Public Works." Well, it was less than an hour. Somebody was there, and he said he stopped by with his car, but he'd be right back. And I left and wasn't gone even an hour, and it was completely replaced on a Saturday. So that was great.
Kudos.
Now, as far as Public Works in the McLaughlin Neighborhood Association is concerned, we're still very concerned about their location where they presently are, because it's in our neighborhood. It involves a lot of trucks going in and out around homes, and we are going to have a meeting with them on October 15th, and it should be a concern to everybody on the CIC, because it's a city Public Works, and in concern for other neighborhoods, this is a good opportunity for the people to come and see what's happening. Now, Chris Wadsworth, my church is in the McLaughlin neighborhood, and we serve a free dinner on Thursday nights. And we've had very little problem with our guests, but a little bit. So Chris Wadsworth came to speak to us last Thursday. And one of the things that I asked Chris about, and I want the city to think about, is trying to approach Our Father's Heart, is that the right name, Our Father's Heart, about putting some portable toilets on that property. There are all public buildings around Oregon City say their restrooms not open to the public. And so what happens is that they find unoccupied backyards and neighborhoods. And there's a lot of good goes on down there, but this is certainly objectionable to our neighborhood because they are a part of it. So, and then another thing that didn't come up at a neighborhood association meeting, but I think I heard the city got a new street sweeper. Is that right? And I'm wondering if the city couldn't schedule a bit. West Lynn does that. Not that they ever do anything right, but West Lynn schedules with a sign that says street sweeper here Tuesday or whatever. And, you know, if I see them, hear them, I go out and move my car. But I think it might be helpful to try something like that. I think that's all.
That's a great
Thank
idea.
you.
Yeah. I forgot to mention, I apologize, I don't have the numbers from the safety fair. I wasn't able to go pick them up again. But from National Night Out, this is what we do at the public events. We just took one of these flyers that we hand out and we track who we talk to and from what neighborhood. And at the National Night Out, we had representatives or citizens from all the neighborhoods except for Two Rivers. And at the safety fair, I believe we had all but Kenema and Two Rivers, if I remember correctly. Do you remember?
I think Kenema, there was somebody from
Did you think
Kenema
someone
at both
came?
of them. It was last year that Kenema didn't show up.
Okay. And it's kind of fun. At National Night Out, McLaughlin had the biggest attend. Of the most people we talked to were
Yeah.
from McLaughlin. And at the, I believe Caulfield was
Yeah, it was
best
one of those.
at the safety fair.
Yeah, not Hillendale.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
The south end was right behind them.
Commissioner, did you have any roundtable events? All right. All right, we'll turn back over to Laura for city.
All right, so I will follow up with the comments regarding public works, as well as the lack of toilets, and then the neighborhood association cards, and get back to you. All right, so I sent out a couple of emails last week, one to all neighborhood association chairs, and then one to all of you about the CIC ordinance passed. So now we are codified in the code, and the City Commission recognizes our importance as a committee. With that, we have also changed our name to Citizen Involvement Committee. So if you want to start in each of your neighborhood associations thinking who will be the primary and the alternate member, and we'll kind of stew on that for a month or two, and then get me those recommendations from each neighborhood association chair, and then we'll put those before the mayor to appoint at the City Commission hearing in December. I think it's around the 17th or so. Also, we want to start to think about that flyer that Amy just held up that has all of our CIC dates for the following year. We want to start to think about 2016. So if you guys can start to get me your neighborhood association meeting dates for 2016. Amy has a bunch of revisions suggested for our neighborhood association flyer and Faith as well. So we'll put in when our regularly scheduled meeting dates are, as well as a bit more information and all the benefits that neighborhood associations and CIC can provide. Around the city, the library wanted to let you know, as you can tell, the library is going up great. They're doing foundations, forming up walls, and everything's starting to take shape. Friends of Trees will be doing a tree planting on December 5th in the McLaughlin and Barclay Hills Neighborhood Association. If you have any questions, you can give anyone in the Planning Division a call, or you can call Friends of Trees directly as well. So there'll be 2 planting locations. In this next following week, they'll figure out where the meeting place is, but they'll meet about 9 in the morning on the December 5th. Other than that, our next meeting will be November 2nd, which is our first Monday in November, and we'll continue monthly. And we should have lots of more exciting agenda items. If you have anything that you see around that you'd like to be on the CIC agenda, throw it my way. And then I work with Barbara and Amy and the executive team to set the agenda. That's it. And thank you very much.
Commissioner?
Yeah, I forgot something, Chair Wilhite, that I was pretty impressed that, you know, we had the developers forum on the SDCs the other day, and I think you were there, and I saw Faith there too, so I was impressed that, you know, when you're talking about this on your goals and stuff, you're having CIC representation at these events, even though it's not a real CIC event, but it's a city event.
It's interesting.
You know, does involve your neighborhood. So it's good that everybody's getting some education there and stuff, and you can pass that on to your neighborhoods and stuff. So thanks for being there for that. So
Yeah, that was a great meeting.
yeah.
Laura, I have a question. In planning for the primary and the secondary representative, I'm the secretary. Do I have to be the primary, or can someone else be the primary and I can
Continue.
How could that work?
Nope, the officers don't have to be primary in there. So the primary is the one that votes. That's the only difference. So each neighborhood association gets 1 vote, and it's the primary that votes. We should see a lot of matters that we're actually voting on. Let me double check our code, but I think anyone could be.
You can get back to me.
I'll get back to you. And then also as a side note, regarding the public involvement plan. So I've been working with Portland State University, and their Masters of Urban and Regional Planning is a great program in downtown Portland and Portland State. And they have a workshop, and they pick a project, and so we are trying to get a public involvement plan as one of their projects. So they work on our project from about January to June-ish to help us think of ways to get better public involvement and help create a plan. So there's a lot of projects, and only there's like 7 teams or so. So more projects than there are people to do them. So we're trying to get on the list. They helped us with the Park Place. If anyone was around when they created the Park Place concept plan, they did a bit of a public involvement there, and they're helpful because they do all the door knocking and flyers. I was in that master's program, and we did a parade for neighborhood involvement and all sorts of stuff, and went to schools. So stuff that you typically wouldn't see from the city. Time-consuming stuff that is helpful. New resources for us. So I'll keep you posted on that.
Great. All right, anybody have anything else? All right, we'll be adjourned until next month.